So today we will talk about WBC or white blood cells. So white blood cells also called leukocytes. So what is the other name of WBC? That is leukocytes. And the RBC, what is the other name of RBC? Erythrocytes. There are five kinds of WBC. So how many types of RBC? Only one type. But in WBC we have five types. How many types? There are subdivision of WBC. Okay, all divided into five types. Okay, and they are larger than RBC. And second thing is you have to remember that they have nuclei. Who have nuclei? WBC have nucleus. Okay, so this is the thing you have to remember. Next thing is that what is the normal value? So the normal value is 5,000 to 10,000. In some cases, there is 4,000 to 11,000 also given in some books. But it is the normal. If you compare RBC, WBC are very less. RBC are in lakhs, but WBC they are in thousands. Okay, because they are not circulate in the blood vessels. Okay, they are not circulate in circulatory systems, but they are present in the tissue fluids. So this is the cell. In between we have fluid, tissue fluid. So in that area the WBC are present. So it doesn't need always WBC to circulate in the circulatory system. So this is the thing we have to remember. What we have to remember that WBC have five types. Okay, and second thing is that it have nuclei, and third thing is it is larger than RBC. Okay, third thing. Fourth thing you have to remember that the numbers are count less than RBC, that is 4,000 to 11,000. And last thing you have to remember that these not circulate in the blood vessels. They are present in the interstitial fluids or lymphatic tissue. So what is the classification? So gradually I told you that there are five types. Okay. These are produced by red bone marrow. So here we have, remember two things. Okay. Some WBC have granules. Okay. This is the granules. And some doesn't have granules. They are plain. So the WBC which have granules are called granular WBC, or other name is neutrophil, eosinophil, basophils. Okay, what is the name of granule WBC? Neutrophils, fills. You have to remember like that, fills, and fills. Okay, and they have nuclei, two or more lobes and segments, and they have colored granules. Okay, these are the things. Neutrophils have light blue granules. So when we'll see in the microscope, what we can see, they have light blue granules. Eosinophils have red granules. Basophils have dark blue granules. Okay, these are the things we have to remember. Here we have agranule leukocytes. Agranule leukocytes. The WBC which doesn't have granules. Okay, which are planes like lymphocytes and monocytes. Cytes, lymphocytes and monocytes. So there are five types of WBC. In that we have two divisions, granular and agranular. Granular are neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils. And agranular are lymphocytes and monocytes. Monocytes are usually quite a bit bigger than lymphocytes. So here lymphocytes and monocytes, if you compare the size, monocytes are bigger than lymphocytes. So okay, these are the things we have to remember. So we have WBC count, general WBC count, all the combination. Okay, that is 4,000 to 11,000. Okay, and 4,000 to 11,000. First thing. Second thing is that the WBC are divided into five types. One is a granule and a granule. A granule have three types: eosinophils, basophils, and neutrophils. A granule have two types: lymphocytes and monocytes. So let's talk the functions. Now we will have. So you can see that the complete blood count, we have RBC 4.5 to 6 point, hemoglobin, hematocrit, reticulocytes. Okay. In more detail, we will talk in blood pathology also. We have immunity chapter. In that also we will have other topics also we have to discuss there. WBC on neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes, and monocytes. Okay, white blood cells 4,000 to 11,000. Here we have neutrophils. In that we have 50 to 70% are neutrophils. Eosinophils 1 to 3%. Basophils 0.5 to 1 percentage. More less. Lymphocytes 20 to 35%. Monocytes 3% to 8%. Now we will talk about functions. Okay. What is the function of WBC? WBC have the most important function, that is protection of the body. Okay. From the outer environment as well as inner environment. These are the things very, very important to have to remember that. So its main function is protection of the body. Okay. It is the protection of the body. Okay. And it have to give immunity. We have to give immunity. Okay. Each kind of leukocytes make a contribution to the very, very important aspects of homeostasis. Because if you want to maintain balance, okay, balance of the inner body, okay, what you have to need protection from outside environment. So that the WBC do for our body. Neutrophils and monocytes. What is the function of neutrophils? Here we have to very, very important things. So you have to remember that. Okay. So here is the function of neutrophil and monocytes. Monocytes, neutrophils. Neutrophils is granule leukocyte, and monocyte is a granule leukocyte. Their function is phagocytosis. What is the function? Phagocytosis. Phagocytosis means the pathogen that come from outside environment, they have to eat, they have to capture. Okay. Neutrophils are the more abundant phagocytes, but the monocytes are the more efficient phagocytes because they differentiate into macrophages, which also phagocytes the dead or damaged tissue at the entire site of any injury, helping to make tissue repair possible. During an infection, neutrophils are produced more rapidly than the immature forms called bands. So here we have to remember that neutrophils and monocytes. Neutrophils and monocytes both are phagocytes, but neutrophil are more phagocytes, and monocytes have another function. Okay, monocytes have another function. Monocytes what have other function? They will have more than phagocytic. They are macrophages, because whatever dead tissue we talked about in the RBC, that RBC damage, RBC will eaten by macrophages. So likewise, inner body dead tissues are eaten by macrophages. Like any injury happen, so they have redness. Okay, their dead tissue is there, so macrophages will reach and eat the dead tissue. What is the macrophage? Monocytes. Monocytes. Okay, this is the thing we have to remember. So what will happen whenever an infection happen and whatever injury happen? What will happen? The neutrophils. We have neutrophils now. It will release immature band cells. These are the band cells. Okay, in the circulation, peripheral circulation, all over the body, are usually less than 10% of total neutrophils. The term band refers to the nucleus that has not yet become segmented and may look somewhat like a double. Eosinophils are believed to detoxify foreign. So this is the function of neutrophils and monocytes. Okay, next is eosinophils. Eosinophils is detoxify foreign proteins and will phagocytes anything labeled with the antibody. This is especially important in allergic reaction and parasitic infections such as trichinosis, a worm parasite. Okay, so this is a very important thing that we have to remember, that is eosinophils. Eosinophils is for mostly for allergic and parasitic reaction infections. So whenever eosinophils increase, what will you notice that if there is any infection or any allergic reaction in the body. Okay, so neutrophils, monocytes, they belong to phagocytic action. Eosinophils for allergic and parasitic infection reaction. Next is basophil. They have two types of granules, that is heparin and histamine. Very, very important. Please make sure you are listening. Okay, one is heparin and another is histamine. Heparin, what is heparin? Heparin is an anticoagulant. In the body, naturally you have heparin, anticoagulant, that helps prevent abnormal clotting within the blood vessels. What it will do? It will whatever substance are want to make a clot, it will detach them. Who? Heparin. This is the one thing. Heparin. Histamine. What is histamine do? Histamine is the part of inflammation process. What it will do? It will make the capillaries permeable, allow tissue, fluid, proteins, and white blood cells to accumulate in the damaged area. So what it will help? Fluid, proteins, and blood cells to reach the damaged area, whatever infected area is there. Histamine uh, make sure that all these substances, all this material will reach the damaged area. So heparin will work as anticoagulant, and histamine is permeable for allowing tissue, fluid, proteins, and white blood cells. Okay, the other things we have to remember. Next is lymphocytes. So we talked about neutrophil, monocytes for protection, phagocytic action, eosinophils for allergic reaction, basophil. Now we talked about, we have basophil, histamine, and heparin. Now we talked about lymphocytes. So there are two types of lymphocytes. One is T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. And the third type of lymphocyte, that is natural killers. Very, very important. Okay, very, very important. You have to remember that. Okay, T lymphocytes, what will they do? B lymphocyte, what will the natural killers, what they do? T lymphocytes, they will recognize the foreign body and may directly destroy some foreign antigens. They will recognize. So there is special type of natural killers. There's separate special type of, if monocytes and neutrophils is not working, what will do? Lymphocyte will come in the action. I mean, first is T lymphocytes. Next we have B lymphocytes. They will produce antibodies to foreign antigens. So here, first war action will start from the side of B lymphocytes. If from past 2 to 3 days, if the infection is not maintaining, not recovering, so B lymphocytes will enter and it will you want to stop the infection. Okay, this is the very, very important T and B lymphocytes for immunity cells. Next is natural killers. Natural killers will destroy the foreign cell by chemical rupture their membrane. So directly they will enter and natural killers will kill the membrane of the cell. Okay, this is the thing you have to remember. Okay, monocytes, lymphocytes, eosinophils, basophils, whatever thing we discussed, you have to remember this will come into in these cases I'll come into a clinic, then you can easily understand. Okay, this is the thing we have to remember. What is some things we have to remember that what is the term used if the WBC counts are high? That is leukocytosis is a form. Okay, and if the WBC count is decreased, then is leukopenia. So you can see in your test there is written about the leukopenia. This patient have WBC problem. So why this the problem happen? You have to go to the root cause. Okay. So this is the very important. So leukopenia. Why it is there is low amount of WBC. You have to check that is there any problem. But if it is in early stage of disease, it means that there is tuberculosis. If the person is exposed to the radiation. Okay, so these are the things we have to remember. And if cancer is there, blood cancer or other type of cancer. Okay, so we need to see. So leukocytosis, WBC increase, leukopenia, WBC decrease. So whenever you see WBC count is high, you can write in your prescription that is leukocytosis, leukocytosis. Okay, okay. So these are the things we have to remember. Okay, completed WBC. So WBC have five types of cells: neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, and a granule, monocytes, and lymphocytes. Neutrophil and monocytes for defense, first line of defense. Basophils for allergic reactions. Okay, eosinophils. Sorry, eosinophils is allergic reaction, and basophils. Sorry, basophils for allergic reaction. Eosinophil for uh, detoxify a foreign body. Like they have two chemicals, that is heparin and histamine. Heparin for anticoagulant, histamine for collecting of all the materials. Okay, so these are the things we have to remember. Next is lymphocytes. Lymphocytes have two types, that is B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, and natural killers. Okay, and though two conditions we have to remember, that is leukocytosis and leukopenia. Okay, so if you need out, you can ask. Okay.